some people in this room will become multimillionaires as a result of this meeting. When you look at people like these two gentlemen, that's a picture of us at a dinner in Ontario, and most of you would recognize the gentleman on the left as Warren Edward Buffett, and the gentleman on the right is Michael Lee Chin. And these gentlemen have become billionaires. Since 1977, Michael has amassed a fortune of $2.5 billion. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is a message that he shared with me and is produced in his literature, and it's his 5 wealth laws. And the first wealth law is to establish a goal. Michael said, if you really want to do something, find a role model. Get the recipe. Don't tweak it. Don't touch it. Just apply it. In my mind, the picture I have is these guys are on a train. And their methodology and their understanding is like the train tracks. And to them, these tracks are absolutes. And those tracks will go exactly where they want to go. And their goals are higher than their current imagination of possibilities. So if I showed you tonight that you could build a business that is historically capable of making every one of you a multimillionaire, would that be of interest to you? So the second wealth law that would be applied by these business people is that they don't spend all the money. What they've discovered is that 20% of the money that people spend is spent on items, products, and services that they do not remember. Let's start thinking like business owners. Like our income stream is just business revenue, isn't it? Can you imagine going to a businessman at the end of the month and saying, listen, sir, what did you spend the money that came into the business on? And he went, oh, I don't know. It's just, it's just all gone. I don't have enough. We're going to have to get a mortgage on the tractor. Oh God, we already got 3 of those. I really don't know. And yet that's how we run our lives, really. Number 3 is very, very interesting. Because what it's about is the use of other people's expertise. Okay? There's 2 ways for you to become wealthy in your lifetime. You will need to make a profit from somebody else's labor, won't you? How many people here are living on their own labor? Virtually everybody, right? Let me see if I understand this. I'm barely getting by now when I'm spending 40 to 60 hours a week commuting, driving, and working. But I'm going to live on 70% of what I earn now when I have a lot of time to spend it. Can you see a problem there? The person or persons that is going to make something grow that will make you wealthy is actually the CEO of the companies you own, isn't it? So why don't people get rich? Because they're paying attention to the stock. They didn't know that the stockbrokers that are trading stock down in Wall Street aren't the people that are going to make them rich. What part of I buy a business as if the market's going to close for 5 years do we not understand? Why would we care what the media says about our businesses today? Warren is very clear that there is a difference between the price paid for a business in the market today and what the value of the business is. So we're following the market around emotionally. So we miss the ownership of the great principles of what? The expertise, right? The fourth wealth law is the use of other people's money. So do you know of a businessman who built his business without any loans? This doesn't happen. It's impossible. So let's save to buy a pizza parlor. Let's save to buy a business. Let's save to buy our houses. What you discover is that it's a mathematical impossibility. How many people would have borrowed $300,000 in 1984 to buy a house? Just about anybody, right? So if you did that in Vancouver, one of the better markets, you have about $1 million worth of home today. A non-liquid assets that's deteriorating daily, but it's $1 million. But if you'd borrowed $300,000 and invested in the New York Stock Exchange, you'd have $2.7 million. Why would we not borrow $500,000 and go buy $500,000 worth of great businesses? Because we're afraid. I'm going to give you a little confession. I was awake all night last night because I was afraid. Events of the day had finally built up to the point that it overwhelmed me. And I spent the night contemplating the possibilities of my life in that atmosphere of just thoughts flying through my head of all the responsibilities I had to clients, all of the responsibilities I have to my employees, the responsibilities I have to my family, the responsibilities I have to myself. The media and other people's fear had gotten to me. And only one thing saved me. Those words. What is required is a sound intellectual framework for decision making and the ability to keep emotions from corroding that framework. And fear, my friends, is the most powerful emotion. If I did not have that phrase, I could potentially have become like all other individuals who invest in the market today, who are running away from the greatest buying opportunity of the last decade. I invested money in AIC Advantage in 2003 and doubled my money when it was the worst fund in Canada. Did I buy the businesses for everybody at a discount? Yes. Are those businesses growing at above average rates? Yes. Do they have cash in them? Yes. Then forget about the fear. So I had a guy come in 1998, the end of 1998, and he had $35,000. So I borrowed $70,000 to add to the $35,000, and we invested the $105,000. By 2000, we had $375,000, $125 in equity and a $250 loan. And then what happened? 2000, 2003. Well, how about 9/11, Enron, WorldCom, the blow-up of TAC, right? Big problems. The end of the world problems. So by 2003, all we had left was the $250,000 loan. We lost the $125,000, but we had the $250 loan. Now, it's $250 more than the $35,000 he started with in terms of mass. Right? Okay? So I sat down with these folks in the spring of 2003, and I said, listen, you have a choice. You can quit or borrow more money. And I would suggest to you that right now would be a really good time to borrow some more money because we lost yours. Right? Hey? Hey? Hey, got it? What would you do if you owned a pizza parlor and you didn't make any money for a little while? Would you quit? Or are you going to fight your way through it because you're going to fight your way through some obstacles to get $11 million? There's going to be a couple of obstacles along the way. This is not entirely free. You just don't need to have to watch Pizza Pants. Okay? So there's going to be some obstacles. There's some negative years. There's some times that you're going to go like, ah. Anyway, he said, okay. So we borrowed another 25% to 250 is what, 75 grand. We borrowed another 75 grand and away we went. This March, say 4 years after that, that portfolio is $1.2 million. Now, is that more than the 35 or anything he could have made with $35,000 in that 7-8 years? Absolutely. Now, what do we got? What we're doing is we're understanding that when we borrow money to buy great businesses, this is a solid investment. So the fifth rule is that we have to protect all this stuff from taxation. But most of all, we have to protect you from taxation. So if you save your $6,000 a year in your RSP, what did you do? You got a tax deduction, right? You voluntarily doubled your income tax when you go to spend your money. Now, the last time I looked, voluntarily doubling your income tax is somewhere after stupid. Do you know the folks I was telling you about a minute ago? Those folks got a $600,000 loan. Okay? What's $600,000 loan? How much is a $600,000 loan? $36,000 a year, give or take a buck or two. They personally pay $14,000 of that out of earnings. The balance, the other $28,000, do the math quick, is paid for by the portfolio. Oh, who gets the tax deduction? They do. So they're getting a $28,000 a year tax deduction when they didn't take the money out of their pocket. I have clients who pay no income tax. So when I look at Warren Buffett's picture and Michael's picture, I have incredible gratitude for the role model that these people are for us. Every single one of you can do what I talked about tonight. Some people in this room will become multimillionaires as a result of this meeting. I know, because I've been holding these meetings for about 14 years, and I have some millionaires to prove it. But here's what's going to happen to you. After you fill out the card and after you leave this room, life is going to start again.